Perfect. Thank you very much. It was so much interesting a presentation so far in the day, so I was enjoying a lot. I forgot actually I'm going to be the next speaker, but that's how nice this was organized. So thank you to you, Phil, and everybody else in the University of Kent to put this together. So hello and good afternoon, everyone. In this session, I'll share how we in our teaching team used AI to improve consistency in student support in a quite rare module with more than 400 students. And I'm trying to stay very conservative saying 400 because there were cases that we had over 800 students of that specific module. So it's a very specific type of module because it's hybrid. The lectures often goes hybrid, mostly online, but the workshop seminars goes in person with a teaching team of around 14, 15 members of staff. So I'll try to walk through the choices we made, the guardrails, the workflow changes, the things that we tried to get help from AI to reduce some repetitive student inquiries, to save some teaching team staff time. And I think even for smaller cohorts, which I have in my other modules, these practices still are very helpful, some of which you may already have it embedded in your modules as module leaders, but some might be a bit new or you might want to try it out. So let's get started with a brief introduction of myself. My name is Kasra Kasai. I lead the Business Economics and Insight Research Group at London South Bank University Business School. I'm a lecturer in digital analytics. I'm in the business school, but my background has been pure computer science and software engineering. So I'm a PhD in computer science. My background has been in IT and software engineering. I've used machine learning in my research, and I'm uh, ironically, one of those who might be a bit more extra cautious with using AI and using Gen AI actually for my students. So I'm trying to go very slowly, very cautious, and get my experiments peer reviewed by my colleagues as well as my students. I'm also a fellow of Advanced HE. I completed my PG cert quite recently in 2024 at City University. So I would like to dive in to discuss more about my module. So a noticeable part of my role as a lecturer is module leadership. It might be the case for many of you too, even if you are a more senior academic in your career. One of my flagship modules is data for decision making. This is a common level 4 module with 20 credits for many of our business school courses, including accounting and finance, business management, marketing. So it's a massive module. The module explores methods to handle, analyze data, quantitative information, and try to tell a story out of it and try to justify the conclusions and the decisions. The module runs only in semester 2, but it serves more than 400, 500 students at a time. So it has also a very large teaching team. During my end of module reflection for this module during academic year 23-24, at that time, Gen AI wasn't as advanced as it is today. I tried to group some of my core responsibilities for this module in order to understand and improve the module outcome. Like many other London model universities, we are struggling with student retention, student progression, and student engagement and attendance. So I had to spend quite amount of time to understand what part of my responsibility can be delivered better, can be improved. And I tried to break it down to some components that I think it's quite the same with a lot smaller modules. So the first one being content and activity design. That means lecture materials, activity design, VLE improvements, whether it's Blackboard, Moodle, whatever, to support self-paced study for students. The other one is assessment and feedback, quite a sensitive one, and I'll tell you why. Rubrics, moderation, consistent feedback practices, and so on. And the last one, which I highlighted in orange, because if I reduce my time spent on the third one, I can then comfortably spend more time on the first and the second responsibility, is academic operations and student support. This includes leadership for the team as well as basically making sure that you're available. I had more than 400 students. So I was still a single module leader, although I had many members of teaching team helping around. We also had an observation during that time when we sat with our members of the team. The observation showed that students with lower attendance often send too many emails, sometimes to several members of staff without CCing them at all at once, sometimes seeking clarification on coursework repeatedly, marking scheme, timetable, room numbers, and so on, not necessarily academic questions sometimes. And the details were obviously on VLE. So as an educator, you know that you have tried to clarify most of what students ask you, especially at level 4. Remember, this is a level 4 module. It's already on Moodle. It's already on VLE. So this was giving an extra workload pressure to us academics. So I thought that this could be a good start to see how can I use AI to improve this situation. So during my reflection about 2 years ago, I began exploring how Gen AI and AI can address some of these demanding challenges. So I looked at staff feedback and student feedback throughout and tried to pick on a few matters that I would like to reflect upon. So the second one specifically, let me see if my laser works here. Yeah, this one specifically, I stayed away of it because this requires a quite extensive time investment in order for it to be enhanced by AI. So I specifically chose not to start with assessment and feedback because from machine learning point of view, marking tools or AI marking tools would require substantial engineering to control hallucination, bias, some of which has been already mentioned by our fantastic speakers so far, variability. And if students submit the same work to a large language module twice and they receive a different output, that inconsistency will expose a key limitation in the education practice. So while I agree that such models can really simulate feedback like an academic, but they're running on probabilistic nature, which means the identical input can yield divergent and sometimes contradictory divergent responses, which can be a bit scary. So undermining this reliability, this undermines the reliability and the fairness that we expect in education system and feedback. So in short, pedagogically, it can raise questions about transparency, accountability, and trust. So I believe that students cannot reproduce or verify the reasoning behind the AI's response if it risks promoting superficial engagement rather than deep learning. Because imagine if they do the work with another AI agent, submit to our agent as a feedback system, and then these two AIs are struggling with each other, and the actual actors of an education environment, which is the educator and the students, are out of the loop. So that is something I would like to raise awareness about. And just to tell, although I'm a PhD background in computer science and I love AI, perhaps I use it quite too much, but at the same time, I want to make sure that like all our journals or other publications, that we make sure it's going to be peer reviewed. With our experiments with AI, we take some extra cautious and make sure that we peer review with colleagues. And this event is one of those that really can help us to get genuine feedback about what other educators think about our practices. Anyway, so as I said, I focused not in the middle one. So I focused on content delivery and activity design and academic operation and student support. So I had two interventions to help my module. So during last year delivery of 24-25, I've implemented these two, and it was quite a successful story. So starting from the first intervention, I started to basically carefully use a Gen AI approach, similar to the first presentation, which was about a specific tool. This is just the OpenAI custom GPT tool. I tried to upload the document administration of the module rather than the module content. That includes module guide, module description, coursework marking scheme, as well as coursework brief. And then I have tried to set boundaries in the configuration of the GPT, custom GPT, to make sure that it would signpost correctly with a warning at the top, and to handle only routine inquiries, not anything technical or academic. So I made sure that there's no involvement in assessment decisions with this GPT, basically. I asked a few students to test it. I didn't actively advertise it. I wanted that to be organically picked up because I was worried. I was experimenting. I took permission from our university AI policy lead, and just to make sure that this is compliant at institution level. And I was super cautious about how things are working out. But I implemented the scoped AI assistant embedded in the Moodle to handle document grounded inquiries, not the ones that come from the web or from the internet. Which I'm going to open it up and explain to you a bit more further if you get some time. And the second intervention was using the core concepts and the materials I was creating every week to have extra study materials using Notebook LM, which is from Google. I created mind maps that students really like because these mind maps are interactive and it can collapse and expand as students are exploring the topic for each week, as well as a 6-minute podcast. So students, when commuting back home on train, on tube, on bus, they can listen to the content while they're going back. So if I briefly go ahead here and show you how this DDM, which is the code for my module, AI Tutor, looks like on the surface. It looks like any custom GPT, and there are some sample questions below. So I have put one question as an example here. What's my module leader contact information? Believe me, if you teach level 4 students, this might not be a very rare question. And then you can get to see it basically only based on the content that I have given, it starts to produce my information for the student. And if they ask questions like, what's the first step in doing my coursework? Is it individual coursework? Can I get feedback from tutors during seminars? First of all, it tries to put this kind of warning message on the top that reminds the students at each prompt that, look, this is an experimental tool. This should not really replace us. It's just there to release some load from the teaching members and the staff, and then tries to help with this with the coursework. And when I say help, it's clarification of the coursework. So I have in the configuration set the output to be limited to 1,000 characters specifically, and some other extra configurations which I'm happy to show to colleagues at the end of this presentation, to make sure that this is bounded and scoped. And I've asked specifically students to go and break it, because I want you to break it. Go and show me the ways that you perhaps can do some plagiarism out of it. Maybe you can get some extra support that is not fair, or maybe you can find things that are not accurate. And so far, I have, based on those feedbacks, built that further and further. I think it's a practice that all of us have to do, basically gradually educating ourselves, because it's a very new technology, and we all need to learn somehow prompt engineering as we practice. Some of the positives about this was that it handled a lot of inquiries from students. It was restricted to the handbook, brief, and the policies of the university. For example, the 50-page policy about universities and the late submission about extenuating circumstances that are changing every semester, at least in our institution, are the things that I try to use this bot to take care of it. And I sometimes really go and see if I can use a mind map, for example, to navigate those very extremely navigatable policies, even for a level 4 student. It has helped a lot of staff to free their time. The questions coming to our inbox started to become more academic, and then we could spend more time on answering student academic questions with higher quality rather than moving among the emails. So this small GIF on the left-hand side is showing how my second intervention worked, which was about content creation. So the core content of your week can go to Notebook LM, which is a free Gen AI Google tool, and then the output can be a useful mind map. I personally use mind map a lot when I'm learning anything, and I'm really trying to spread this to my students as well, because it's really helpful, and at each time you're focused on one layer of complexity. The other thing, as I said, is podcasts. Both of them are very easy to set up. It's just you drop your content that you're happy, the core content of the week that you've created, and this is getting generated for you for free. So some of the benefits has been an indirect outcome to an indirect positive effect on student outcome. Staff has used it very well and liked it. It's scalable. It doesn't matter if you have 400 students or 4,000 students, and it's save some time for your academic work. I'm aware of time, so I'm going to my last slide, which is a few feedback from students. One of them says, some of them were not comfortable asking too many questions from the tutor, but they are more comfortable with an AI tutor. They can repeatedly ask questions. This one says the assignment brief has been too long, so they started to start questioning and bit by bit learning to stop their overwhelm. This one says, has asked the question many times. This one says 1 hour before deadline, they were hopeless that they can find any academic support about the expectation of coursework, but they've used this. Thank you very much, and sorry if I've gone 2 minutes or 1 minute over. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What a talk. That was amazing. There was some really, really powerful examples there of kind of how you've been able to incorporate into your module. And I commend you for all of your work there. I'm so sorry, we have actually run over time by about 6 minutes, so we've run into the question time. So if you do have any questions for Kasrat, and I'm sure there are plenty, if you could stick them in the chat and we'll try to get to them. But what a powerful talk. I mean, I think I've got about 17 questions I could ask you now, but I'll have to kind of maybe another time.
Thank you, Phil.
A great talk. Thank you.